Right, so some of you guys have been wanting 12-inch MacBook leaks and whether we could see a revival in the near future, so let's delve into it. So there has not been many new details, but I thought I'd make a recap on the leaks that we've seen so far because Mark Gurman did tell us a while back that yes, Apple has considered giving us a new 12-inch MacBook. Now the reason we have not heard much about this is because Gurman himself says we should see this release at the end of 2023 at the earliest, or even early 2024, so yeah, this product is not releasing anytime soon. And also do remember Ross Young, a pretty credible display supply chain expert, says he's heard nothing about this, and so yes, it seems Apple might have internal plans about this, but they're still unsure if they should release this. Now personally, I'm down for this because I think the 12-inch MacBook was ahead of its time and the design is perfect for the power of Apple Silicon because it's super thin, it has no fan, it's a compact product, and so putting the super efficient M1 or M2 chip in this is going to make this the dream computer for students and also light users. But I think the main thing I want to see Apple do with the 12-inch MacBook is of course give it a lower starting price. I think that was another issue with the original release. It was way too expensive, and a 12-inch MacBook should ideally be the cheapest MacBook Apple offers, and so yeah, this should be $799 or $899. Now yes, some of you guys might say this would cannibalize other MacBooks. Well, Apple could downgrade some aspects. For example, the display, maybe the lack of biometrics, maybe a slightly less powerful version of the M1 chip. Also, the size won't appeal to all consumers. So yeah, I think there's plenty of compromises that will upsell consumers to more expensive models, but ultimately offering something this cheap is going to be popular amongst students and is going to massively increase the market share for macOS. So yeah, fingers crossed Apple does make up their minds and does eventually release this MacBook at the end of 2023. Anyways, let's delve into your comments regarding new Macs. So MacBook Pro 16-inch regarding the M2 Max and the M2 Pro chip not being based on a 3nm process says, the M2 was released on a 5nm process, they're not going to make it inconsistent throughout the lineup, they've got to save it for the M3 coming out in 2024 since the M1 to the M2 chip was a 2-year gap. So that's actually not true, there's an 18-month gap between the M1 and the M2 because we saw M1 launch in November 2020, but M2 of course launched in June 2022, so that's not exactly 2 years. And regarding your first point, I do understand that Apple might want consistency, but to be honest, what's stopping them from using different nodes for different chips? And especially when there's nothing different in terms of design with these MacBooks, and basically everything's going to be the same apart from the chip, I think they should go for a 3nm process and give us much better performance. And that's exactly what a reply to this comment says. Kidarira, much like I said, says there's nothing keeping them from using different nodes for different chips, and they also say in the past X-Series chips did get yearly updates, and the old X-Series chips are basically what the M-Series chips are now, so yes, I could also see Apple going to a yearly more consistent cycle for the Macs, so that we know that hey, every October there should be a new Mac. I think that would create less confusion with releases. So Eric says, I think I'm gonna get myself the M1 Max. And yes, I can understand that because if the recent Geekbench listings are right, we're not getting big upgrades with the next MacBook Pros. And also remember there are major discounts on the current M1 variants, and so yeah, definitely do get those instead. So Evan Rogers says the M2 Max should have 40 GPU cores and may see better GPU utilization. Now that could be the case, and much like the regular M2 was, we could see a sizable jump, but of course, not giving this 3nm is still going to prevent it from being a major upgrade. And like Chidarira says, the rumors have been suggesting we could see 38 cores instead because of thermals or defects with the chips. So yeah, basically don't expect a major upgrade when it comes to the GPU performance. So Joe says all we need is HDMI 2.1, faster all-round port speeds, no notch display, and the MacBook Pro has peaked. And yeah, I completely agree with that, especially with Face ID because it makes so much sense for a Mac to have this. Windows Hello is a very popular feature on the Windows side, and so having a better version of that for the Mac, that would be pretty awesome. However, maybe we're not going to see Face ID anytime soon because till Apple can massively reduce the components, the current components in the 14 Pro might not fit in the super thin lid for these MacBooks. And so yes, Apple has a few years till they reach peak MacBook. And MacBook Pro 16-inch says, hey, what about Dynamic Island on the Mac? I think that would be great actually, because it will kind of be like a virtual touch bar for the Mac, and so maybe that is an in-between solution we see for MacBooks till we see under-display cameras. And yeah, Matthew says, I don't want to pill a notch or anything on my workspace. I want an open and clean screen to view what I'm doing. The notch remains the disrespectful marketing eyesore, and the pill would be even worse. No other company includes notches or pills, but Apple does it and suddenly it's amazing. Just what I want on my background, a black 1-inch wide notch. Now yes, I do agree that Apple gets way less flack for notches and pills on their displays than other companies, but if I'm being honest, none of that really bothered me. Even on the iPhone, I never once found the notch or the pill to be intrusive. The same goes for the notch on the MacBooks, and so while I do agree a notchless design would be nice, I'm not in a rush to buy a MacBook that's notchless. I can live with the notch, and of course a dynamic island. So Mr. Oliver1444 says, the efficiency cores are getting better and more, which is nice. So tweaks here and there, but not having a 3nm process is disappointing either way. I guess Apple released the benchmark, so we either are prepared for it, or they still want to surprise us. Now usually when we do spot Macs on Geekbench, they are basically running the final chips they're gonna get, and so I don't think Apple's surprising us. But yeah, maybe this was an intentional leak to, of course, temper expectations and make us forget about 3nm. And regarding the efficiency cores, I do agree more of them are nice, and I'm hoping the silver lining here can be better battery life. I think that's really the only weak part about the 14-inch, and so if battery life is massively improved, then I guess this might be worth getting. So this was a comment from a while back, but Cowstub says, bro, are you sure there won't be any Mac release this November? Well, of course, it's now December, so yeah, that rumor was right. And they also say they were hoping to buy the M2 Pro model, but of course, it did not launch, so should they go for the M1 Pro or should they wait? Also, they say their budget will be the same as the M1 Pro base model, and that's really the key reason why I think you should buy the M1 Pro model right now, because if you're not based in the US, I am very sure there's going to be price increases for the new MacBooks. We saw price increases with the iPhones, the new iPads. That's definitely going to be the case for the new MacBooks. And so if your budget can't go beyond the M1 Pro base model, there's no point waiting for the M2 Pro because that could be more expensive. And while there are excellent deals across the world for the M1 Pro MacBooks, here in the UK I've seen some very good deals. And so wherever you're based, I'm sure you could get the M1 Pro for a good discount, and the savings you could put towards external storage or maybe other accessories. Anyways, that's about it, but tell me your thoughts regarding this in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video in the icon above on details regarding new HomePods, and on that note, see ya peeps.